Hi everyone, it's Bethany. Tonight's video, pardon the shadows, I know it's a bit dark, but I wanted to take advantage of a quiet house to get some more filming done. And also, I may be kind of losing my voice in this video, so I apologize for all that in advance. But today I wanted to talk about a question that seems to come up quite a bit in the various Facebook groups that I'm in. And that is from people who are new to using planners, who have a planner, but still aren't really sure how to get started, or have never really figured out how to make this planner. You know, they see people raving about them, excuse me, but they don't really see how to get from blank planner to something that's useful and, actually positively impacting your life. So that small task is what I think I'd like to talk about tonight. So, basically, I'm assuming that you have a planner. Possibly it's still sitting, unopened or at least untouched because you're feeling a little overwhelmed, or you're just not feeling quite like you know where to start. Or you have a planner that you've kind of been, using. You just don't find that it's really gelling for you. And so tonight, my goal is not to talk about types of planners or even really the components of planners, but more on the actual use of them. If you want more information about actual planners, planner sizes, the different options, what kind of printables, if you're kind of at that stage, then go to my channel below, and I have a planner series there called Where Do I Start? And I think that is probably might be helpful for you. But anyway, so you've got a planner in front of you. That's where we're kind of jumping off from here. My first thought, excuse me, and this kind of came to, I've just recently, in the past week, switched the inserts that I was using, and that has been a bit of a transition period. I've gone from the lime tree fruits that I've been using for the last 7 months into these DIY fish inserts. And there's similarities, but there's also huge differences in the layout and the amount of space and all that kind of stuff. So it's been kind of interesting, and I feel like perhaps now is a good time to make this video, because I feel like I've sort of gone through this whole new planner process over the last 10 days. And I think I've learned a couple of things that might be helpful, hopefully. And something that came to me, and I mentioned it in one of the groups, was that I feel like moving into these new inserts was kind of like moving into a new house. You have all this information and all this space, the same way that you have all your furniture and all your belongings and all the rooms. And it's about finding but matching the two up. And the same way with a house, you might have to do a little trial and error, right? Maybe the big things are easy. The dining room table is going to go in the dining room, but what's going to hang on the wall? Or, your couch, maybe there's only one place to put your sofa, but what about, that plant that you have, or that other, all those little knickknacks, right? So you might try something and realize, oh, I don't really like the way that works there. Oh, I'm always bumping into it. It's in the way. The same thing is true for your planner. It's not about getting it perfect the first time. And if there's anything you take out of this video, it's that it's not about getting it perfect the first time. It's about going through the process of developing a system that's going to work for you. And as much as I love watching videos of people's planners, it's not about copying somebody else's system necessarily either, but about finding what works for you. But sometimes if you're feeling at a complete loss, it's great to get something to start with. So that's what I'm hoping to be able to do here. So, okay, you've got a blank planner in front of you. Let me turn to maybe some pages that are a bit more blank. Okay, so planner, look, fresh slate. What am I going to do with it? My first suggestion is to sit down with it. Give yourself a little bit of time. It doesn't have to be a huge chunk, but just a little bit of time to sit down and kind of look through your planner, which you've probably done. If you've purchased one, you've obviously looked through it to see what's there. And whether or not before you bought the planner, you thought about what you want to include in it, now is a good time to do that again. So as you're looking through and you're seeing the different sections, do you have a monthly calendar? Is there a weekly calendar or a daily calendar? Or is it, a schedule based, where there's times, or is it all just notes type space, line spaces? Is it completely empty? Is it, a blank page, whatever it is. As you're looking, thinking about the obvious things you want to record and where those seem to obviously fit well. There's certain, pardon me, you might find that you have a monthly calendar and you're going to put events and special occasions on your monthly calendar, and you're going to save, the to-do list and the, smaller appointments maybe onto your daily page or your weekly page, whatever you have. You may find as you're going through that those things seem to kind of jump out as, options. Okay. And when you're staring at that blank page, I know, like, look at this, right? It just seems to say, don't mess me up. Look how beautiful I am. Okay. You know what? Grab a pencil, grab a friction. A lot of people don't like them. I mean, a lot of people love them. Some people don't like them because the ink can disappear, apparently. Well, not apparently, I mean, it can, but I haven't had that happen to me yet. But grab an old-fashioned pencil, something, if you're feeling a little, scared of marking up your pages and putting something where you don't like it. Or the bottom line is, you probably are going to put something where you don't like it, and that's okay. Let it go. There's always, if you're using dailies, there's always tomorrow. Or if you're using a weekly, there's always next week, or whatever the case may be. You can always fix it some point in the future. It does not have to be perfect right from the beginning. Okay. So just if you can let go of that need for perfection right away, that might help you kind of get over this stumbling block of, I don't want to start, I can't mess up this beautiful page. Give yourself permission to mess it up. Here's a tip though, right? So don't go gung-ho, which can be, maybe you're the opposite. Maybe you're thinking, oh, I just can't wait to start, and you just want to write everything down. Give yourself some time to live with it. So I've been working in this new section. This here that's blank is week 3. So I've got 1 week that just finished, 1 week that I'm currently in, and then this will be week 3. And I've resisted the urge to decorate week 3 because already from week 1 to week 2 I've made changes in terms of where I put things. Week 2 I decorated partway through week 1. And there are things in places that if I were doing it today, I wouldn't put them there. But worst case, I'm surviving, a total of 7 days with things in places that I slightly wouldn't do again, right? So it's not that big a deal. But don't get too far ahead of yourself. Give yourself the chance to make those changes when you realize. So do only a few days or only 1 week or whatever, whatever you feel comfortable with, knowing that, you'll give yourself the space to make changes to the, the coming weeks or days. Okay. Now I mentioned videos and about how it's not about finding someone else's perfect system, but there are some great ideas. And if you do a YouTube search for the whatever, inserts you're using, whether they're ones you've bought off of an Etsy shop or a website, or whether they're ones you've bought that came in the planner that you bought at Walmart or at Staples, or off of, if they're Filofax pages, whatever it is you have, do a YouTube search for people that are using the same ones, or, at least ones that have a similar layout. There are certainly different brands that all have, the week on 2 pages with 4 boxes on each side, right? So whether they're the exact same brand as yours or not, you might be able to take some ideas based on the fact that you have the same amount of space. And sometimes, watching a video, look, I could do hand puppets if this gets boring at the end, except I'm not very good with hand puppets, but sometimes you just need an idea of where to get started. Okay. Plus, I know there isn't a whole lot to look at in this, so maybe if I did like some hand movements, some finger dancing or something. Okay, so that, it really is just about, in terms of the nuts and bolts of your planner itself, right? Just rough in, pencil in, use Post-it notes, whatever you think. Just get started with something, knowing that you have the opportunity to change it. If not right today, then you can do something different tomorrow or whatever in the future. That is sort of half, I think, of this planner journey is, making the actual physical part of it work. In terms of layout and the amount of information that you're able to keep and the types of information that you're going to track and where you're going to track and all that kind of stuff. The other part of really having a successful planner experience, shall I say, is coming up with your own planner routine and what that's going to look like for you. And to me, this really is the essence of a planner, because you can make a beautiful planner. It can be, you could win prizes for most gorgeous layout or something, or most perfect setup. But if it sits on your shelf, then it's not a planner, it's an art project. Do you know what I mean? It's not about having something that's beautiful for the sake of beauty. It's about having something that's beautiful for the sake of making you want to use it even more. About making something that's beautiful and eye-pleasing because it's also functional, something like that. So, and basically your planner routine, everyone's, again, it will be, slightly different, but there are, I think, a few sort of consistent things that you should try to include, or you probably will want to include in your planner routine. And basically what you're looking for is a way of moving tasks around. Okay, I'm assuming that you do keep track of tasks or to-dos on your in your planner somewhere. So it's about moving tasks, assigning tasks, placing them places, all of that thing. All of that. It's also about looking at the scheduling piece. So mapping out a schedule, or allowing for things like appointments and special events and occasions and things like that. And also about looking ahead, having the ability to look ahead and make plans based on, future events, right? So, I can plan my day today because I also know what's kind of coming up tomorrow. And so I know that this should get done today because I won't have time tomorrow. Or this should get done today because it absolutely needs to be done by Friday, or, whatever the case may be. Having that forward planning aspect, or just knowing, there's this thing that I really would like to get to at some point. It's not super time urgent or anything like that. I just don't want to forget it. I don't want it to get lost in the bottom of my mental pile. So, I'm going to tack that away next week so that it comes to mind again, right? So it's just about those sort of elements. And okay, so what it's, like I said, what it's actually going to look like may be slightly different depending on whether you are a morning planner or an evening planner. There tend to be sort of two camps. The morning planners would get up with a page that looks, something like this, and would then go ahead and fill it all in. The evening planners would wake up, with a page, something like this, or like this, with things already on it. That's what you would wake up to, and your goal for that day would be more about executing what you've already planned, as opposed to starting out with a blank slate and filling in your plan and then going ahead and executing it. And likely, I really don't know. I'm sort of assuming it probably comes down to, whether you're the evening person or a morning person, or what your schedule's like, right? If evenings don't have time that you can set aside to plan out some, spend some time in your planner, but mornings provide that opportunity for you, then, obviously that might be what draws you to one or the other. Really makes no difference. It's just a matter of personal preference, as far as I can tell. Okay, so whenever you're sitting down to actually do your planning, whether it's at night, the night before, or whether it's the morning of, essentially what you're looking to do is map out your day. So this is my day for tomorrow. I've started to put in, errands that I need to run. This is my meal plan for tomorrow. And these are when my son will be napping. So I've started to plan out what I'm going to be working on while he is napping. I have not created now these tasks that are already here are things that I have added in, from way back. This isn't stuff I've added in tonight. So what I would do is add things in as I think of them if I have the daily pages in my book. But tonight what I would do is go through and pick out what are my most important things to do for tomorrow. I would also go through the list of things that I haven't finished from today and move those forward. And often when things get moved forward, they end up over here, right? I didn't get to them today, so tomorrow I want to make sure I get to them. I'm going to put them in the most important section here. And but again, it's making that decision, but making sure that everything on here gets dealt with. So if this is today, before I say today is done and tomorrow is planned, every task on here needs to be dealt with. It either needs to be decided that it's finished, that it is moving ahead, or that it is canceled. Those are basically the three options that I give myself. And moving ahead doesn't necessarily mean it has to be tomorrow, but it has to get moved ahead somewhere. Because my biggest thing is losing tasks or having tasks left behind. And the beauty of a planner is that those tasks always have a home, as opposed to, having a list of Post-its, running, all the length of your kitchen counter or something and things falling off. And, in a planner, your tasks always have a home. Okay. And also looking at your schedule and saying, okay, just looking to make sure it works, making sure that you don't have too many things scheduled, making sure that you know where you need to be tomorrow. If you have an appointment, kind of committing that down and planning the rest of your day around it. Okay, so then either before you go to bed, or like I said, if you're doing this in the morning, at some point you're going to decide, okay, this is, at this point in the day, this is what I have planned for today. And you're going to kind of leave it at that. Now, if you've planned the night before, okay, then first thing in the morning, you're going to get up and you're going to open your book and you're going to check out your day and remind yourself of everything that you did the night before. You're going to sort of, commit these things into your brain and kind of see, what am I supposed to be doing now? What did I already plan for this time? And then throughout the day, you're going to want to be checking in to review and to update this plan that you've come up with. And in terms of how many times throughout the day, it really is going to depend on you. It's going to depend on how great your memory is. It's going to probably depend, for me anyway, it depends on what my day is like. Days that I'm busy and out of the house a lot, I probably am not in this as often. Days that are more of a home day, this stays open on my desk, which is, in a very central location. I may see it, 15 times a day. Every time I walk by or every time I sit down to check my email, I see this, or whatever the case may be. So, but you're just constantly checking to make sure that you haven't forgotten or, been distracted by something that's coming up, and that you are getting the tasks done that you were hoping to get done, especially the ones that are time sensitive. If you needed to get supper into the crock pot by 9 o'clock in the morning, then you obviously want to make sure that by 9 o'clock you've checked your planner to remind yourself of that, right? So, okay. And then at night, again, if you are, regardless of whether you're a nighttime planner or you're a morning planner, at nighttime you still want to do that last check at your day and make sure there's nothing sort of absolutely pressing before you go to bed that you want to get done. And then if you're going to, continue, if you're a nighttime planner, you're going to continue with your plan, then you would do all that before you go to bed. If you're a morning planner, you would just sort of leave it at that, update whatever you can, see, oh shoot, yes, I wanted to make sure I packed the soccer bag for tomorrow. I will do that on my way to bed. And then, you leave it. If you're an evening planner, then this is when you start looking back at, okay, what happened today? What do I need to move ahead? All of that sort of thing. And then the other thing that you want to be doing whenever you're doing that, today's planning, whether it's night or morning, the other thing that I always try to do is check out my weekly to-do list and see, are there things on here that I can add into tomorrow or into this day. Also taking a peek back at my monthly to-do list and saying, are there things that I could add into today based on, what I know my day to look like. Okay, so That's sort of, my daily routine. Excuse me. There's also a bit of a weekly component. And it's hard to say. I mean, I'm not the type, I don't have a set time that, every Sunday night from 7 to 8, I sit down with my planner for an hour. Mine sort of even my weekly planning often happens in spurts throughout the week. But what I mean, the difference between the daily and the weekly is sort of a change in scope. So I'm not just focusing on what is today, but I'm also starting to really look ahead and either plan out the remainder of the week that I'm currently in. As you get into your week, you kind of get a sense of whether it's busy or, new appointments, crop up that you didn't know about when you sat down on Sunday, that kind of thing. So planning the week ahead, but also now starting to look ahead at the following week. And again, because new things are starting to come up, and, as you get closer to that time, you've probably added, things onto your weekly to-do list for next week and things like that. So starting to look ahead, and, if you decorate, then you probably want to have time to, be decorating your next week or whatever the case may be. And also, though, at the end of your week, and it's kind of part of your Sunday night, so even as part of your daily on Sunday night, you're going to be moving any of your Sunday tasks over to Monday. It's always good to just kind of take a peek through and make sure that nothing has been left behind. Double checking your weekly to-do list, making sure that, the same as you go through your daily to-do list and mark and deal with everything, you also want to deal with everything on your weekly list. So making sure that everything is either done, canceled, or moved forward onto your next weekly list. And the same at the end of the month, I'm always checking. So like next week is the last week of the month. So I will be checking throughout that week. I'll be checking off my monthly list, and anything that I know I'm not going to get added to is going to get moved ahead. And anything that I can deal with next week, I'll make sure I get added in onto, a specific day. And really, I can't stress it enough. Sometimes it seems, that, you can spend, and I'm sure there's a balance, you can feel like I spend so much time planning, or, and not enough time executing. And I'm sure that probably happens. I'm sure I've been guilty of that myself a few times, but there's definitely been days when I haven't had my book open and I realize, I really, those 2 or 3 things that I really wanted to get accomplished today, I really didn't do it. And ultimately it's because I need these reminders, or else I fill my time with other, busy things that may be less important to me in the long run. But that planning part is what helps me to establish what my priorities are, as opposed to flying by the seat of my pants. Often you end up dealing with just the immediate things that are right there, whether that was actually, the priority or the best use of your time. Okay, so I'm hoping that was helpful. I hope that encourages you to get started and to work out a routine, whatever your routine. And again, the routine, just the way your planner and what your planner looks like will likely change. Your routine will also change. I used to be much more of a, every weekend having a set time where I did a lot of that, sort of weekly planning. Now I tend to be more sporadic, doing bits and pieces throughout the week. But then there's other weeks that are busy, and it tends to be, it does all fall on the weekend. I find a time and spend a bigger chunk. So you know what? It just, it will evolve the way that your entire planner system will also likely evolve. Okay, if you have any questions, if there's something I mentioned that I didn't explain very well, or something you were hoping I was going to talk about that I didn't, please leave them below in the comments. I would love to, help out if I can. Anyway, I think that's everything. So thanks for watching. Bye.